Counselor Castro, are you there for when we're ready?
Indeed, I'm ready when you are.
All right, wonderful. We are just waiting for Counselor Falk. Ah, here she is. Can we go live?
Madam Chair, Councilor Cassidy, we are live.
Thank you so much. All right, it is 5:02 p.m. and I am going to call the October 1st Quality of Life Committee meeting to order. May I please have a roll call?
Counselor Castro?
Presente.
Counselor Faulkner?
Here.
Madam Chair.
I am here and I heard from Counselor Chavez. She is not in attendance. I have not heard from Counselor Garcia at all, but I'm going to assume that he is not going to be here as I know there is an event that he would otherwise be at tonight. So I will assume that the no communication is a sign that we will not be here tonight. Moving on to approval of the, but we do have a quorum.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the agenda, for anybody paying attention, and if they were expecting to hear item E, consideration of bill number 2025-21, adoption of ordinance number 2025 to be numbered later, sponsored by Mayor Alan Weber. It's a bill amending SFCC 1987, section 28-1.5, living wage ordinance to increase the city's base minimum wage and update the formula for calculating the minimum wage annually. If you look at the schedule, it has changed. It will be going back to the Public Works Utilities Committee on October 20th and will come here to Quality of Life on October 22nd. That is reflected in the agenda, so we do not need to amend the agenda, but did want to make that notice in case anyone's listening in for that. So that said, are there any actual changes to the posted agenda?
Madam Chair, the item E, the living wage, should be removed from the agenda.
Yeah, well, it is reflected in the agenda that it's postponed, but yes, we will not be hearing that tonight. So can I please get a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we need a roll call, please.
Counselor Castro?
Yes.
Counselor Faulkner?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. So moving on to our, I'm sorry, approval of the consent agenda. Nothing was removed from the consent agenda ahead of time. Is there anything anyone would like to take off at this time? And if not, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Counselor Castro?
Yes.
Counselor Faulkner?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And moving on to our presentation. So it is Nuemo, which Maggie will tell me what it actually is. Formerly Avenue Short-Term Rental Software Implementation Update. We have Maggie Moore, our Assistant Land Use Director, Clarence Romero, Treasury Officer, David Tapia, Accounting Supervisor, Dana Bracchia, our Project Manager from Nuemo, and maybe she'll tell me exactly how to pronounce that. And Obiora Nikwocha, please correct me on that name, who is a project manager from Nuemo. And I will send it over to you, Maggie.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you for having us here tonight. Yeah, we do have, so first I want to introduce Nuemo, which is shortly after we contracted with Avenue, they kind of were merged with two other companies to make Numo, which when I talked with Dana about it initially, she said it stands for New Motion or New Motivation.
New Momentum.
New Momentum. Thank you. Thank you, Dana. There she is. Okay, good. And you can see some of our consultants from Avenue Analytics, Numo, on the call. We're all kind of getting used to the new name. So thank you. And yeah, there was a merger with Avenue Insights, GovOS, and ITI. And so, but, you know, we are still working with the same team that we initially worked with, and we're still, you know, getting the same product now with, you know, more kind of tools and information kind of available to us. So I'll just, I'll start and then I'll hand it over to the Avenue team to add some detail as well. But we just wanted to come together and give you an update on our implementation of this new software system. There are, you know, several of us on the city who are working on this effort. Within land use, I am the lead project manager with the support of Heather and Tom Graham. In our code enforcement division, Jason Senna, Vidal Garcia, and Carl Krings, our code enforcement officer for short-term rentals, are also participating. Within finance, of course, because there's an element of the tax collection piece of this that we want to bring forward with Emily Oster, Diane Senna, Alex Lotero, David Tapia, and Clarence Romero. The last two are here tonight to answer any questions. And then this is our team with Dana kind of at the lead. And then we have kind of two teams. There's the team that are working with our STR 360, which is, really the short-term rental piece of it. And then we have the lodgers tax finance team that are working, with our team here from finance. So I don't know, Dana, if you want to add anything to this presentation so far, if you want to jump in.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here tonight. And as Maggie said, again, excitement for the company and the same wonderful people. So here this evening, we do also have Christy Cato, who oversees all the business units. And so she's our champion. So when you look down that leadership line, it's the same, again, great people that we've got going. And George Gretzis, who you probably remember from early on, as well, one of our advisors and consultants. You're going to be hearing from Obi and Carol as well. Mostly Obi tonight, because it'll be some of the STR demo. And then Carol's group, which is tax administration, will come in. We're in the midst and in the weeds of doing the implementation work. And so again, we are so excited. And that list you saw before from City of Santa Fe, it has just been a pleasure to work with all your departments and teams, because part of what we do is a lot of that first initial data gathering. We are getting lists, we're going over workflows and all those kinds of pieces. And we know everybody on that team has their day jobs and they're super busy, but I have to tell you, they have just dropped what they're doing to make sure we can start getting that data that we needed, because a lot of our work doesn't start until we get into the weeds of all of that information and can start scrubbing and cleaning and doing that implementation work. So thank you to everybody at City in Santa Fe. And I always like to mention, I'm a native New Mexican. I grew up in Albuquerque. And so I've been to Santa Fe, of course, many, many times. So it's for me a great project to be working on.
Thanks,
Okay, so we
Dana.
broke our timeline into two schedules for you. One is the STR implementation, and you can tell that's well underway. Obi has been, of course, leading that, a lot of that data gathering work, that development work. And so we get about two or three more slides in. He's going to be giving a demonstration this evening. So you'll get to see real time what has already been developed for the city, what's coming next. And we're coming into kind of the last pieces of development through October. There's some more communications that'll be coming out. And then we'll be having a community session November 13th. One will be virtual that we'll be recording for your STR owners. And then we'll also have a in-person one that evening as well. So we found those to be really helpful. And I know that's something when the city was setting this up, is to ensure we had that good communication with our stakeholders. So again, everything that we've got on that schedule right now is on track. There's also oftentimes a lot of blending between the work that we do on the STR side in terms of getting all the data and information. And Obi's team has done a tremendous amount of work of cleaning that, adding to it where are the gaps. Because you can imagine sometimes as we're doing this, some of the data comes from one database, some comes from something else. And so when you start to put it all together, you realize where those gaps are. And I know Obi's team is amazing at having done that work. And so then the good thing is all that work then now shifts over to Carol, who then takes it, and then she's doing a different level of scrubbing and what they're going to be needing to do. So as you can see, it's a really cohesive, collaborative group. But we're excited. I think timing wise, having that STR go live in November, it'll be just perfect timing as you start to your mass renewals. And again, I know Obi will get into that a little bit more here. So that's our, again, good, everything on track for that. And then on your tax administration implementation, again, we're doing sort of in those phases of all the data management pieces, working through requirements, a lot of the templates and those kind of pieces. And on this one, there's a little bit of complexity, additional complexities because of the banking and what we're setting up. We're working with your partner, Wells Fargo, and ensuring that's all getting in place. And that just takes, again, more sometimes back-end development to ensure all that coordination goes. And so on this case, there's more of that work, behind the scenes work is happening, and we'll be rolling that out in February, but we'll also do a similar community sessions. We'll do an in-person one as well as a virtual one. But so both projects right now are on track and flowing. And again, we'll kind of, one tax admin springs off of everything that's happening with STR. And now the good stuff. Well, I'll turn this to Obi here. And I think, Obi, are you able to screen share? I know we've got just a dead shot here. So he's actually going to go into the live system.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And so
let
I'll just
me-
ask that IT can kind of switch the display over to Obi's screen. This is just a static shot of our dashboard.
Yeah.
I'll end my slideshow. There we go. Okay, great.
All right. So let me know when you can see my screen.
I think it's there, Obi. Yeah, is that the?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yep,
Is there? Good. And everyone can hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Dana, and the team here for the time. I know we have a very short time, so I'll do my best to just kind of give us a quick demo on the Avenue STR. So we will still kind of refer to it internally as the Avenue STR. It's our flagship next-gen short-term rental compliance software. And so this is the dashboard that the team, Kyle, Jason, and Maggie, and the rest of the compliance team would have access to. And so we've had this going for about a month now. So we built this out. What you're seeing now is actually a live information. The data here is actually your own data for Santa Fe. It's live as of October 1st. And so what this kind of gives you is, quick snapshots on things like the number of rentals that we have here. We're looking about 1,000 plus of that. Same thing for the listings. And so part of what we're doing ongoing is that we're scraping, plus 80 plus sites that aggregate into the big three now, which is Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com. And then we put that all here into the system. And then we have a team that goes in to identify that. And so you can see, keep where we track things. One of the things I like to call out is the identification and grades that we have. Right now, we're sitting at a C+, which is about 79%. The goal for us is to move this to a 90 plus. The compliance is actually something to call out. When we started this, Maggie's team was able to feed us your existing file. I think we had about 800, 900 plus there. And then we've also gone ahead to identify over 300 short-term rentals that don't currently have a permit. And so as we move on in October and we begin to roll this out, people will start getting notifications to now register with us. We understand every year, December 31st, your permit, comes to an end, and then you have to renew for the next year. So all of that is already built out here. We can see, the people that have the top amount of rentals within the Santa Fe space. Maybe these names could mean something to you. There's Nancy Phillips with 12 of these. So we're showing you the top 10 of the ones that actually have a short-term rental. And as we scroll down here, we're also tracking the number of listings per day that are available and the ones that are actually booked in. So since we started to scrape, you can see here, I can actually drill down to see on what day, how many bookings we actually made, and on a specific day as well, how many of the listings are still active as of today. A quick slide into what we call the properties grid is kind of your in and all of everything. So if Maggie's team, they want to see all the rentals that we've identified, that is available here. So a very easy to tell grid where you can see the names of who owns a place, the address, verified addresses as well. You know, if it's a company as well that owns it, you're gonna have all of those names in there. And then we do keep it simple to ensure that there's a rental and there's a listing. And so the listing for a rental could be multiple. For example, this one here has, multiple listings for one specific address. You have 3. There's one on Casamundo, there's one on Airbnb, and there's one on Vrbo. So we do like to keep it all together. I'll take us into what a rental would look like. So this is a rental case file. So this is 507 Asequia Madre in Santa Fe. And so it has a listing that is in Vrbo. So within that listing, you can see all the details with regards to who owns it. I can kind of swap tabs there to see, all the information that we're scraping. So it's a ton of detail that the team has access to, even, as something as simple as the number of parking spaces as well. There are certain sections for things like notes, for documents, for evidence as well. So we have a listing here that has been identified from Vrbo. And so we have a unique ID that we use to track this to know that it's active or not. I'll take us into what that looks like. So this is the actual Vrbo site. So if I click on that pencil clip, it takes me to the website. So every information here, including the pictures, including, where it is assumed to be by a longitude and a latitude, we're scraping that in. And then we've gone ahead to do the identification. So we have a verified address here. And then scrolling down, we can see, if there are any reviews as well. And then we're tracking all the pictures as well, because I think when you talk about a listing, people, book based on what they see. And so we archive all the photos that are available. In the event that a listing becomes inactive, we still have the historical details as well. So all of that information is tracked here. Lastly, before I head out, we're also doing the short-term rental registration. So I have a quick walkthrough. So this is kind of a welcome screen. So both the admin team and your constituents will be able to sign in here. So I'm going to sign in as an admin that wants to, review an application. So I have a few test accounts here that I can use to do that. And then I'll bring that up in a second. I want to make sure that I have the same flow here. So let me just go ahead and reduce my screen size.
Obi, I'm sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. Just before we move on, I wanted to highlight a couple of those other items on the dashboard too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like the tax kind of items there.
Yes.
Can you talk about, and maybe like the number that we think might be non-compliant that we've identified?
Yes.
Okay.
So starting off with the tax, what we have on this dashboard is a tax revenue projection. And so we're looking at a couple of things. The number of days a listing is active, putting that or factoring that to the average nightly rate that it's been rented for the last 30 days. And then there's some calculation that goes into estimate what a rental should be generating month to month. So that's kind of what we have here based on the number of rentals that we've identified. Regarding the ones that we've seen that don't have a permit, if I slide somewhere here, I can see on a kind of a hover, a small box that says non-compliant. So if I click in there, it gets me into a grid view that shows me all the rentals that currently don't have a permit. And those will be like the low-hanging fruit that we can start to work on to ensure that they know that there's a change in the vendors. They're going to be getting the notifications from us to register. And I believe the compliance efforts that are already currently being done would actually get these folks to register. So, Kyle and Jason, they've kind of given us the details of how that workflow would be. I wish we had more time. I would love to take you through what the constituents will see on their end when they apply for a permit. So just a bunch of forms, and then the required documents that they need to send in. Those documents can be reviewed by the team, and then we can issue out inspections as well. We can schedule those in. But yeah, we have about 240 of those that we've identified that currently do not have a permit. And so if the team wanted to act on this right now, they can go ahead, and even before we go live, we can start sending them out those notifications. Any further questions?
Not at
I
this
see.
time. Go ahead and keep on moving.
Okay, so I wanted to just kind of go through. Let me pick one of the ones that we're setting up. I think I already have Santa Fe in here to be set up. So this is more on the testing side. So the information here is just a testing file. So right now there are no permits that we've put in. I have a test application in here. So this is an application that's come in. Someone has created an account, they filled it in, they've sent in the application, they've paid the initial $100 before the review takes place. And so the team is able to look through all the details. So you can see that this is 201 Ambrosio Street. And our very own Carol is the one here as well. So all the details for the application, all the forms, we've gone ahead to build those out as well. There are some additional requests, some documents to upload. I guess that was not here, but you can see this on a snapshot. The documents would appear here. And if you wanted to reach out to her, you now have her email, you now have a phone number as well. Now the approval is also like a next step. So we have a document review. So we want to make sure all the documents are checked and done, and then you could mark them as reviewed, or you can actually mark them under review. Every step in this workflow is documented here. So you can see out of 8/12 when this was being done, it tracks all the updates. And so if there are multiple teams that need to review the documents, each department can have their space. So there's a document review, there's the planning department, and then finally there's the licensing and team. So I know somewhere around here, Kyle is going to be sending out the inspection. He's going to be able to request the additional, I believe it's $325, where the constituent is able to log in to the account and pay, and then they can come back and approve. So I can log out of my admin. So this is me being as Maggie going to see what an application looks like. I can easily, within the next few seconds that I have, log in as a property owner. So someone that either owns a rental, whether it's new or I'm looking to renew as well. So I'm going to log in as a property owner. And so for Maggie, they would be running this as an internal admin user. For anyone else that is in the public, they would have access as a property owner. They also would require a login as well. This is my test page, so you can see very easy on the dashboard. Someone could add a property. So if it's a management team, they can add multiple addresses that they manage within the same account. They can view all the properties they have. I have a ton of them. I have homes in College Station. I have homes in Jersey City. So I'm a property manager and I have a ton of places. So I can see all the places I have a home. And then if I decide to apply for a new permit, I can easily apply for a new one or renew. I can, do some taxes. However, we're not doing the taxes on this system. I can pay for an invoice. I have a few items on my cart, so the payments is simple enough that if I wanted to pay for multiple of them, I can just, click on them. Depending on the amount, I think the total would be $425. I can pay those in a quick way. I have a savings account, an ACH account that I've already gone ahead to put in. So they can go ahead, whether they're paying by checking or savings account, or they're paying by a credit card. And so all that detail is the system is already built out. My understanding is that we're going through like a Wells Fargo bank account. I won't get into the details of that, but every transaction is documented right here on the system. I think we support all of these: Amex, Visa, MasterCard, and Discover as well. So they can go ahead and pay, and then they get a confirmation receipt at the end of the day. That's something that they can keep. Once an application is approved, it automatically issues them out a permit certificate and a license as well, because I know that is the current step. So this is what the constituents would be. Each person would have their own account. Any notifications that the team wants to send, they're able to get a notification. Like you see the bell there. I have a few that I haven't responded to because, hey, I'm busy. I'm running multiple short-term rentals. So any notification that goes out from the system, they're able to see that here. They're able to manage everything regarding a permit. So we're close to getting this system live. As of yesterday, I sent out the user accounts for staff, so staff will be able to see exactly what I have here. And then we're going to be conducting intense training just to make sure that there's an existing CSS workflow that exists now. We're going to try to migrate folks into this new system. So there are help guides, there are training tools that we have, there are videos that we hope to share with the team to make sure that they're comfortable and the program itself is successful. So I'll pause here, hand it over to Dana, and if we have any questions, I'll be happy to stay back to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Almar has a hand up.
Do we still have more of the presentation?
Thank you. Yeah, Councilor Cassett. I think the last thing we just wanted to highlight after that was the community engagement events that we're hosting. And I'll try to put this back up online. But we are going to, and Dana mentioned it a little bit earlier in her presentation, for the STR component, we're going to host 2 public meetings on November 13th. One is going to be a virtual meeting from 12:30 to 1:30. And this is going to be, anybody can join. We're also going to tape it, record it so that we can post it up on the website and just make sure that people are aware of what's changing. And then we're also hosting an in-person meeting at the Santa Fe Convention Center from 5:30 to 6:30 that same evening. And so I think we'll have a capacity for a little over 100 people, to show up for that live in-person meeting. The team from Numo will be on site as well to, answer questions, for that day. And I think it'll be a great, way to just get the word out and, address any of the public's concerns. So I think that was it for the presentation. So yeah, any questions?
Wonderful. I'm sure there are. Can we get the share screen down so I can get the big pictures going up? Well, I don't know. We may need to look at things. Councilor Castro, you did have your hand up.
I can start sharing my screen. There we go.
Perfect. Questions, comments from the committee? Councilor Castro, did you want to get started?
Sure. Yes. Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question of how much information will be available to the public, because I imagine this admin screen is not what the public will see.
Yes. So this is not what the public is going to see. This is only available to the compliance and team. So Maggie and team would have access to this. However, there is a public maps action that we have where anyone in the public from your Santa Fe site, you can see how many rentals are actually short-term rentals. So it's just a map view that shows how many short-term rentals out there that are approved. So that is as much as they're able to see. There's also a component of the 24/7 complaint form where a concerned neighbor can go in to lay a complaint about maybe someone is parking in their driveway, there's trash, there's noise, there are parties late at night. That is also a public facing aspect of this. And so the other side of that is a toll-free 1-800 number that they can call to also send in a complaint. So those are the three things that will be available to them: their dashboard, the complaint form, and then the public maps to see approved permits.
Perfect. Thank you so much. No further questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilor Faulkner is listening, but she did have a matter she had to attend to. This is exciting. I'm happy for us to be getting here. Obviously, we did see some already on the dashboard. Where are we in terms of being able to have the conversations around, that we've been talking about in terms of policy? Because there's been a lot of conversation around our short-term rental policy. Does it need to be adjusted? If so, how? And we're curious about the number of permitted, number of registered, how many are operating legally, how much money are we losing by not getting our tax collected? At what point are we going to really be able to get a good information on that so that we can start looking at our policy from a data-driven level?
Thank you, Counselor. Yeah, I think I'll go back to, from the policy perspective and our go live. I think, we're right now, and I think on the dashboard, I don't know if we can bring that up, you already start to see some, I think Obi mentioned, I think it was like 247 that we've identified these low hanging fruit that, through the data that we provided, and then the initial kind of scrubbing or really constant scrubbing that they're doing of the many sites, the internet, we have already identified, 247 that are not compliant. And so we want to, kind of proceed with notices to those folks to say, please, come register. Let's get you compliant and make sure that, you're registered or licensed appropriately. So we kind of already have those low hanging fruit. And then, once we get through that, and then obviously through, I think, the new renewal period, which starts in January, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for folks, to come into compliance then, to register, and, to identify any of those, folks who are not. And that would really, so through the end of the year, I think hopefully we'll get from, the C+ grade where we're at, to the A. I think that's really within our sights in the next couple months. And then, we can have those conversations. And I think there's already some, interesting tax information here, obviously projections about what we might be missing out on. And it's about $1 million a year right there. So, we certainly, that's an estimate. We want to, drill down further and, continue to bring folks into compliance with, both licensing and registration, but also paying the taxes that they're supposed to be paying for these, uses. And this is the tool that, really is going to allow us to do that work. And, then we can, it's above my pay grade, but we can have those, you can have those policy discussions. There's a lot happening in this space as well, things changing at the county as well that are, interesting how they're taxing, properties from residential to commercial use, that might be affecting. Anecdotally, we are seeing some people decide, to not renew based on that. But I think that's also a kind of an X factor that we need to consider as well before we, kind of changes. But yeah, we are updating the code. So, and phase 2, it might be, well timed to, have some really good data to back up, any needed changes that might, that the city might want to consider.
Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that. And quick clarification. This might be a silly question. Obviously, I know county does taxes. We don't tax them as a commercial property, but because the county does property taxes, if they are within the city and also within the county, they're still going to be taxed commercial.
That's my understanding, Counselor. Yeah.
That's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to know.
So they're if I think the counties, and we've been coordinating with the county, you know, a little bit on this work. And, you know, we'll certainly be inviting them to, you know, the event on the 13th so they can be there as well. Cause there is this overlap. And I find that a lot of the folks who run and operate or own short-term rentals, they have questions that kind of some pertain to the city and some pertain to the county. So you have these overlapping bureaucracies there. And so when we have these events, we want to make sure to invite those folks from the county to answer folks, you know, questions.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
And then, Counselor Castro just asked about, what will be available to the public. When do we get to play with one of these? Do I just have to come to your office?
You mean I'm sorry, Counselor, the dashboard?
Yeah, these like, they're super fun. The
Oh,
dashboards,
yeah.
apps, like I want to play with this thing.
It's my toy.
All right, so I'll come over for a play.
Well, there's a lot of sensitive information on here. And
Got it.
so, you know, we're not gonna make this public per se. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there'll be, you know, issuing
Public access.
notices and proceeding with any, you know, enforcement proceedings as needed, which, you know, are all public documents, but we don't, you know, this is our personal information. And I think, you know, OB, I don't know if we can, you know, we can very easily produce reports
Mhm.
for, you know, counselors and for our management and leadership team, you know, from
Yeah.
this to show compliance, you know, and show where we're at, you know, in this process. So those I can run a report for you and give you some information.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that'll be something that'll be
It'll
really
be interesting.
interesting for, and I'm sure something that, you know, especially as we're watching this and thinking about this, that I know many members of the council would be curious in getting those reports or interested in getting those reports on a semi-regular basis once we have data that we feel confidently, you know, really represents and we're fully online. So that's wonderful. I don't have any further questions. I'm just really excited to see this. I know we've been discussing it for a long time. And as I mentioned, the short-term rental policy and changes to that ordinance is a frequent topic of conversation wherever you are talking about housing policy these days. So I'm excited for members of the public to see that we are, you know, really getting this information. We're doing a deep dive. There's been a lot of conversation around how many short-term rentals are operating, how many are operating illegally, understanding what our policy actually is and what that compliance looks like. So I just want to thank the entire team from Avenue or
Numo.
Numo. I'm like trying to mew like a cat. And of course, our land use and finance teams who have put a lot of effort into getting this online. I know this has not necessarily been an easy lift, and there's been a lot to do. So thank you, because I think that there's going to be a lot of really good information, good discussion, and some thoughtful policy conversations that we'll be able to have because of this being here. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you, Counselor. And I just want to as well say thank you because, and on behalf of our enforcement team, you know, this tool is really what we've been waiting for. It's been, you know, we've been in a very reactive mode for the last several years, just responding to complaints and, you know, taking, you know, inspections and going through a pretty laborious process. And, you know, having this tool in our, you know, pocket is just a real game changer for the staff and a huge morale boost for everyone. So thank you so much. And we're just really excited that, you know, like you said, I mean, I just got access to this yesterday. So we're really excited and the staff is, you know, really motivated to, you know, use this tool to really enforce the ordinance that we have in place and, you know, see, you know, where that takes us.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think that that brings up another great point is that we will be really interested to hear about enforcement and how efficient you all are able to be, what this does for our staffing needs, because that has really been a hot topic of conversation. Obviously, this is so much for the very, very, very small enforcement team to be taking on of one individual who does short-term rentals. Gosh, that's a lot. And so I think that'll be another really interesting conversation, you know, come budget time around what has this provided for us in terms of that individual's workload. What do we still think that we need for enforcement around short-term rentals? So I'll look forward to that information as well.
Yeah, I think it's great. And, you know, Counselor, I think one of the things that we talked about with Avenue at the beginning was this kind of pay for itself type of thing. And I think, you know, based on these projections, that's really the ballpark that we're in. So it's exciting.
That's we love to
Yeah,
hear that.
thank
We love for things to pay for themselves. So, well, thank you all so much. Really appreciate you being here. Looking forward to more conversations and seeing you, I believe, at another committee potentially, and then as well as those community meetings in November.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Appreciate you
Thank
zooming
you
in.
all. Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, I do see a member of the public who has entered, who I believe is here to discuss the living wage. And just to let you know that the living wage has been postponed as it got held at the Public Works Public Utilities Committee meeting. So will not be discussed here tonight. However, will be taken up again at Public Works Utilities on October 20th, and then we'll be back here at Quality of Life on October 22nd. So, but thank you for being here. So moving along, we don't have anything else on our agenda tonight. Any matters from staff?
Yes, Madam Chair and Councilors, I have a handful of updates I want to share with you. Our Office of Economic Development Small Business Navigator program is officially up and running. The website is live. And we're offering in-person help and an online map of resources for businesses. This will also include resources related to grant programs and networking opportunities. We recently met with our Guadalupe Street local business owners and are collaborating on a winter walk to welcome the public to the improved street. So stay tuned. And then supporting a family-friendly Santa Fe, we've officially launched a family-friendly business guide in partnership with Santa Fe FAM, in line with the governor's announcement of universal free childcare starting November 1st. We're celebrating and building on this momentum, so don't miss the guide release party on October 11th at Reunity Resources. So check out the Reunity Resources website and our Office of Economic Development website for additional information. We've also recently launched our Go Local, Go Different campaign. So watch for upcoming advertising and community organizing efforts to support our local businesses and economy as our holiday season approaches. Our living wage conversations continue, where we continue to gather perspectives on the proposed living wage increase. Please share your views through our living wage survey so all voices are heard. You can access the survey on our Office of Economic Development website. And, you know, to round this, two more announcements. Santa Fe shined at the 2025 Governor's Economic Development Conference, and we received excellence awards. We received 2 awards. We received the Entrepreneurial and Small Business Development Award for our New Mexico Tribal Entrepreneurship Enhancement Program. We also received a Placemaking Award for the Canyon Road Summer Walk Series. And then on Tuesday, October 7th, I want to make sure everyone knows that at Site Santa Fe, we will have the Mayor's Awards for Excellence in the Arts to honor and celebrate outstanding artistic talents of people and organizations that make our city such a creative culture center. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Director Hempel?
Madam Chair, councilors, excuse me. Just 2 quick updates on my end with regard to the federal shutdowns. We're tracking this pretty closely and are trying to analyze the impacts to our seniors programming, as well as some of the human services programming. We rely on some federal funding from AmeriCorps, who funds a considerable amount of our seniors programming, the volunteer components. I think it's to the order of 10,500 hours of volunteer support a year. We've been advised by AmeriCorps to continue our work as normal for the time being. So no impacts there, but we're kind of monitoring it day to day. Similarly, we do have funding in our violence prevention work that is federally funded. or programming that's federally funded, and we have not received any information from our federal partners on how that work should either pause or continue. So just two things that we will continue to update you all on. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Marcella, anything from you? Thank you as always for everything that you do to keep us running, because I would trip and fall without you. Any matters from the committee?
One thing,
Councilor Faulkner?
today is my brother Mark's birthday. He's my Irish twin, so I just want to say happy birthday to my brother Mark.
Happy birthday. Councilor Castro, I think I saw you wave. I'm good.
No, nothing. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Matters from the chair, I have nothing other than our next meeting will be Wednesday, October 22nd, and at 5:46 p.m. we are adjourned. Thank you.